The humans would show the alien scum in the Wagner Empire exactly why humans should never be provoked, threatened, or fucked with. Space Marine. Derek Reyes narrowed his eyes and clenched his jaw as he stared across the banquet table at Nesso, the conniving leader of the Wagner. Derek's exploration team had just landed on this newly discovered planet, and the Wagner had welcomed them with a facade of hospitality, honoring the humans with this grand feast. But Derek saw through the deception. He noticed the subtle exchanged glances, the hushed whispers, the sly grins when the aliens thought the humans weren't looking. The Wagner had an ulterior motive. They wanted something from the humans, access to Earth's resources and technology, and they planned to take what they wanted by force. Humanity was still new to the galactic stage, having just invented FTL drives and started exploring the stars. To the advanced alien races out there, humans seemed technologically primitive, an easy target to exploit. But humans were far from weak. What they lacked in technological superiority, they made up for in tenacity, ingenuity, and sheer stubborn refusal to surrender. As the welcoming feast progressed, a drunken Wagner bureaucrat let slip a critical piece of information. The Wagner planned to subjugate humanity by any means necessary. Nesso coldly admitted to the plot when Derek confronted him. The arrogant alien warlord threatened to annihilate Earth if humanity didn't submit to Wagner rule. Derek's blood ran cold as he realized what was at stake. He and his squad might be hopelessly outgunned by the aliens' cloaking tech and devastating energy weapons. But the fate of all humanity hung in the balance. Surrender was not an option. Derek would find a way to defeat the treacherous Wagner and save Earth from slavery, no matter the cost. It wouldn't be the first time Derek stared down impossible odds for the sake of humanity. He still had nightmares about that fateful mission when he lost his entire squad in an alien ambush. Their agonized screams and broken, bloodied bodies still haunted him. Never again would he let alien scum spill human blood. The Wagner warlords lived in opulence, ruthlessly subjugating lesser species to fuel their empire's excess and expansion. Entire races toiled in slavery under the heel of Wagner oppression. Now, they wanted to add humanity to their collection. Not if Derek had anything to say about it. His hand twitched toward his holstered plasma pistol as he met Nesso's malevolent gaze. Around him, the drunken laughter and chatter of oblivious Wagner elites filled the banquet hall. Somehow, Derek would stop their plot and make them pay. He would show them the true strength of the human spirit. When pushed to the breaking point, humans always found a way to win. Always. Derek's hand drifted to his concealed communicator as Nesso droned on about the glory of the Wagner Empire. He had to act fast. Excusing himself from the table, he ducked into an alcove and activated the device. "Reyes to Valiant, come in." Static crackled. Then a voice responded, "Valiant here, go ahead." Derek spoke quickly and quietly. The Wagner planned to enslave Earth, requesting immediate reinforcements. Warn Earth, highest priority. Returning to the negotiations, Derek probed for weak points, analyzing every scrap of information Nesso let slip. The Wagner's arrogance was their downfall. They boasted of their AI, the Nexus, that formed the backbone of their empire, a single system integrating ships, weapons, infrastructure. Derek filed that intel away, a vulnerability to exploit. 3 rotations later, the human strike team arrived in stealth. Derek rendezvoused with them beyond the city walls, a ghost in the night. Lieutenant Alara Santos grinned as Derek outlined the plan. Infiltrate the command center, disable the Nexus AI, cut the head off the snake. In the pre-dawn darkness, they moved, a precise military machine slicing through outer defenses. But inside the command center, all hell broke loose. Plasma fire lit the corridors as Derek and his team clashed with Wagner guards in brutal close combat. Derek fought like a man possessed, his rifle an extension of his will. Rounding a corner, they stumbled on a horrific sight. Dozens of aliens, starved and chained, slaves, A three-eyed alien reached out to Derek, desperate. "Please, help us." Derek's face hardened with renewed purpose. This wasn't just about Earth anymore. At the Nexus chamber door, Nesso waited with his elite vanguard. Hails of plasma fire crisscrossed as both sides fought for dominance. Derek charged Nesso head-on, a fierce battle cry on his lips. Fists and plasma bolts flew as they pitted human fury against Wagner brutality. With a final desperate lunge, Derek stabbed his plasma blade into the Nexus' pulsing crystalline heart. The AI's death scream was music to Derek's ears. Across the planet, Wagner ships fell from the skies as their systems went dark. Human strike teams stormed the surface, exploiting the sudden weakness. Derek stared down at a battered Nesso, his plasma rifle aimed true. "Surrender. Release your slaves. Now." Nesso spat blood but nodded once, finally comprehending human tenacity. Derek wasn't naive. This was one battle in a greater war, but Earth had made its mark. The Wagner would think twice before challenging humanity again. Derek wiped sweat from his brow as he surveyed the bustling construction site. Human engineers and alien laborers worked side by side, erecting fortified walls and defensive turrets around the fledgling outpost. The acrid smell of welding torches filled the air. "How are we looking on those shield generators, Martinez?" Derek called out to his chief engineer. "Almost there, sir. Should be online by 0600 tomorrow," Martinez shouted back over the din of machinery. Derek nodded, allowing himself a small smile. The outpost was taking shape nicely. It would serve as both a forward operating base for human expansion and a sanctuary for the races they'd liberated from Wagner oppression. As he made his rounds, Derek caught snippets of conversation between human troops and their new alien allies. There was still tension, to be sure, but he saw genuine camaraderie developing as well. It gave him hope for the future. That hope was short-lived. An explosion rocked the eastern sector, sending plumes of black smoke into the sky. Alarms blared as Derek sprinted toward the blast site. He arrived to find a gaping hole in the partially constructed wall, bodies strewn about. "Status report," he barked into his comm unit. "Sir, we're under attack," came the frantic reply. "Multiple breaches along the perimeter. They came out of nowhere." Derek's blood ran cold as realization dawned. The Wagner hadn't truly surrendered. This was a coordinated strike. Over the next several weeks, the attacks intensified. Supply convoys were ambushed. Key infrastructure was sabotaged. The outpost's fledgling power grid flickered constantly. Derek paced the command center, studying tactical readouts. "They're trying to strangle us," he muttered. "Cut off our supplies. Sow chaos." Lieutenant Santos nodded grimly. "And it's working. The Kralthi delegation is threatening to pull their support unless we can guarantee their safety." Derek slammed a fist on the hollow table. "Damn it. We need those alliances." He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "Double the guard on all allied quarters. I want round-the-clock security details for every delegation." As he issued orders, Derek's mind raced. He'd anticipated Wagner retaliation, but not on this scale. Nesso was craftier than he'd given him credit for. A proximity alarm blared, jolting Derek from his thoughts. "Report!" "Sir, we have multiple contacts approaching the command center." Before Derek could respond, the blast doors exploded inward. Smoke grenades sailed through the breach, filling the room with acrid fog. Plasma bolts lanced out of the haze, dropping two of Derek's officers where they stood. "Take cover!" Derek roared, diving behind a console. He returned fire blindly, his shots disappearing into the smoke. A familiar voice rang out, halting the firefight. "Cease fire! We have you surrounded, human." The smoke cleared, revealing Nesso flanked by a squad of heavily armed Wagner soldiers. Derek's stomach dropped as he realized the gravity of the situation. They'd penetrated the heart of the outpost. Nesso's mandibles clacked in what passed for a Wagner smirk. "Did you really think we'd accept defeat so easily? You will withdraw your forces immediately, or I'll execute every officer in this room." Derek's mind raced. This was bad, but not unsalvageable. He locked eyes with Lieutenant Santos, giving an almost imperceptible nod. She understood immediately. "Go to hell, you overgrown cockroach," Derek spat, buying time. As Neso launched into a tirade, Derek's hand inched toward a hidden panel on his belt. With practiced ease, he keyed in a sequence of commands. Across the compound, Sergeant Hector Cruz felt his comm unit vibrate. A prearranged signal. Derek was initiating Protocol Omega. Without hesitation, Hector sprang into action. "Alpha Team on me," he barked. "We're Oscar Mike to Wagner HQ. This ends tonight." As Hector's strike team geared up, Derek stalled for time in the command center. He needed to give Hector a chance to reach Neso's stronghold. "You're making a mistake, Neso," Derek said, hands raised in mock surrender. "We can still find a peaceful solution." Neso laughed coldly. "The time for talk is over, human. You will—" Derek never found out what Neso was going to say next. In one fluid motion, he drew a concealed blade and hurled it at the nearest Wagner guard. Chaos erupted as Derek and his officers sprang into action, turning the tables on their would-be captors. Across the compound, liberated aliens watched in awe as humans fought with unmatched ferocity to defend their newfound freedom. Inspired by the display, many took up arms themselves, joining the fight against Wagner loyalists. In the heart of enemy territory, Hector Cruz squared off against Neso in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The two warriors traded bone-crushing blows, neither willing to yield. With a roar of effort, Hector finally managed to overpower the Wagner leader, slamming him to the ground. "It's over," Hector growled, pinning Neso's arms. "Call off your forces, now." Defeated and humiliated once more, Neso had no choice but to comply. The remaining Wagner loyalists surrendered, bringing an end to their ill-fated rebellion. In the days that followed, Derek worked tirelessly to rebuild what had been lost. But this time, he was not alone. Representatives from dozens of liberated races stood alongside him, united in their desire for a better future. As Derek addressed the assembled throng, he felt a swell of pride. "Today marks a new chapter," he proclaimed. "Not just for humanity, but for all sentient beings who yearn for freedom. Together, we will forge a galaxy of peace and cooperation." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Derek remained vigilant. He knew that new challenges would arise, but whatever threats emerged, humanity would face them head-on. They had proven their worth among the stars, and they were here to stay. Derek's eyes scanned the bustling hangar bay of the Valiant, his flagship. Provoked engineers worked alongside human technicians, their chitinous appendages deftly manipulating tools as they repaired battle damage. Nearby, a group of Zorvat diplomats huddled in deep discussion, their bioluminescent skin pulsing with agitation. The ancient artifact sat on a reinforced pedestal at the center of it all, its smooth obsidian surface reflecting the harsh overhead lights. Derek approached, feeling the familiar tingle of its energy field wash over him. "Any progress deciphering its secrets?" he asked Dr. Amelia Chen, the lead xenoarchaeologist. She shook her head, frustration evident in her voice. "Nothing conclusive. Its technology is beyond anything we've ever encountered." A commotion at the far end of the hangar drew Derek's attention. Two Provoked warriors shoved a Zorvat diplomat, mandibles clicking angrily. "You have no right to withhold information," the larger Provoked snarled. Derek strode toward the altercation, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm. "Stand down, both of you," he barked. The combatants separated, but the tension in the air remained palpable. Derek opened his mouth to speak when a deafening explosion rocked the ship. Alarms blared as smoke filled the hangar. Through the chaos, Derek saw a blur of motion. A group of figures in unmarked combat suits swarmed the artifact's pedestal. At their head was a woman with close-cropped silver hair and piercing green eyes. "Zara," Derek growled, recognizing his former second-in-command. He sprinted toward them, dodging panicked crew members and debris. Zara's team had already secured the artifact in a containment unit. She locked eyes with Derek, a cruel smile playing across her lips. "Sorry, old friend," she called out, "but some of us have greater ambitions than playing peacekeeper." Derek lunged, his fingers grazing the edge of the containment unit. But it was too late. Zara's team activated personal teleporters, vanishing in a flash of blue light. The hangar erupted into chaos. Accusations flew between the Provoked and Zorvat delegations. Human crew members struggled to contain fires and tend to the wounded. Derek's mind raced. How had Zara's team breached their defenses? The implications were staggering. He keyed his comm unit. "This is Admiral Reyes. All hands to battle stations. We've been infiltrated. The artifact has been taken." He turned to his XO, Commander Sarah Chen. "Track that teleport signature. I want to know where they went." For 3 grueling days, the Valiant and her sister ships pursued Zara's stolen vessel across the galaxy. Derek barely slept, subsisting on stims and sheer force of will. Finally, they tracked the renegades to an uncharted system deep in the galactic fringe. As they dropped out of FTL, Derek's blood ran cold. A massive energy field enveloped an entire moon, shimmering with an otherworldly light. "My God," Sarah whispered. "They've already adapted the artifact's technology." Derek studied the tactical display, his mind churning through options. A frontal assault would be suicide. They needed another way in. He turned to Hector Cruz, his most trusted lieutenant. "I need a small team to infiltrate that base and disable the energy field. Think you're up for it?" Hector's face was grim, but his eyes burned with willpower. "Just point me at the target, sir." As Hector and his team prepped for their covert insertion, Derek rallied the combined might of his fleet. Krivek warships bristled with bioorganic weaponry, while Zorvat vessels shimmered with advanced stealth tech. At the center of it all, the Valiant stood ready, a testament to human ingenuity and firepower. Derek addressed his assembled forces, his voice steady despite the weight on his shoulders. "Today, we face a threat not just to our alliance, but to the very fabric of galactic peace. Whatever our differences, we must stand united. The artifact's power cannot fall into the wrong hands." He paused, looking out at the sea of alien and human faces. "Some of us may not return from this fight, but I promise you this. Your sacrifices will not be in vain. Together, we will forge a future worthy of your courage." A chorus of cheers erupted across the comm channels. As one, the fleet turned to face the shimmering energy field, ready to make their stand against Zara's forces.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.